there, I care and you matter. I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel. I'm a soft skills educator and stress mitigation strategist, and I share stories, strategies, and solutions to help you bounce back, stress less, and ultimately feel better. And today we are going to be diving into my Feel Better binder. This is a tool that I created to help myself. I am someone who has lived with a chronic condition, psoriatic arthritis, for over 20 years. And I'm also mama to a little boy. We adopted, actually not so little anymore. He's 17, but we adopted him when he was 2.5, and he has a multitude of special needs. Just to name a few of them, he has a congenital amino acid metabolic disorder. In short, he can't process arginine. It is a essential amino acid, so he is on a very restricted diet. If he eats too much of it, it leads to irreversible loss of IQ. In short, when he was in 4th grade, his IQ was 76, I believe, and now he's in the 12th grade. He was last tested in 9th grade, and his IQ was 52 at that point. On top of that, he also has severe Ehlers-Danlos. He struggles with chronic pain himself. He has long-term and short-term memory loss. He has a condition called GRIN2B, neurodevelopmental disorder, exceedingly rare. Processing disorder, communication disorder, yada, 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 yada. The list goes on and on. So I've had a lot on my plate for the last 20 years, and or more than that. I also have a pocket of ACEs. Let's put it that way. ACEs stand for adverse childhood experiences. I have some trauma in my past. And so I have gone to multiple therapists, counselors in the past, and they are great if they help you. They are great if you can afford it, and they are great if you can get in. I won't go into all of that, but I will say there have been times when I have been desperate, and my doctor has referred me to a mental health specialist, and it was a 6 to 8 month wait list. And when you are desperate, you don't have 6 to 8 months to wait. So I needed to find a way to help myself, and I thought, gosh darn it, I am a former teacher. I may no longer be in the classroom, but I have the skills to teach skills. And so I thought I am going to apply this to myself and find ways to help myself. And thus, the Feel Better binder was born. And this is nothing more than a cheap 3-ring binder with a pretty piece of scrapbook paper that I laminated and put in here just because I love the colors. And so let's dive in today. I want to let you know that everything in here can be done on a simple piece of notebook paper. So you can make your own Feel Better binder today. And or you can also purchase, I've created all printables for all of these different sections, and they are all available in my Etsy shop. And I will leave a special code, 50% off, in the description below. So I'll leave the links to the printables as well as a special promotional code for you to use if you'd want to purchase these. So let's dive in. And the very first thing I have in my Feel Better binder is just this pocket. It's my favorite color, which doesn't hurt things. But specifically, I have small pieces of paper and my beloved index cards. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I love, 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 love index cards. And specifically, I keep some in my Feel Better binder for 3 reasons. 1, it really narrows my focus. If I'm working on just this 3x5 card, it allows me to feel a little less overwhelmed, and it forces me to be concise. And sometimes I like that. Sometimes I like the freedom of a big old piece of paper, and I like the visual breathing room. Other times, it's nice to be tucked inside a closet, like where I work. That's another video. But the other reason I like using an index card is sometimes, like we all do, I have shameful thoughts and I want to get rid of them. So using an index card in those situations helps me for 3 different reasons. 1, it is small and it allows me to just get that shameful thought out. It allows me to isolate it. I write it down and I get it out of my brain. I brain dump it. Next, it makes me feel like it's a private thing. Nobody's going to see it. I can quickly jot it down on this tiny piece of paper on this little index card, and nobody else has to read it or know about it. And lastly, number 3, I actually take it and I rip it up. I tear it up into the smallest pieces I can, so small that nobody could ever piece it back together and read it. And it's incredibly cathartic to do, because not only am I dumping that horrible, shameful thought on the index card, but it feels good to tear it all up. And that process in and of itself is incredibly therapeutic. So that's why I keep some index cards in here, because this binder is meant to make me feel better, and sometimes doing that helps. All right. I have a pocket here that I use for articles or magazine articles that I want to keep and read. Next, I keep some notebook paper. I keep notebook paper here because sometimes I've got a lot on my mind and I just want to get stuff out before I get into what I want to write in the notebook or in the binder. And like I said, again, everything that I'm about to show you can be completed on notebook paper. But you can also get my printables that will give you the prompts necessary too. All right, so the first section is record of rights. It's easy to keep a record of wrongs. Be intentional to do the opposite. Use this page to record and reflect on the many things you've done right. How many of us replay our failures and our mistakes in our mind? It is so easy to focus and think about just what we've done wrong. It's so important to be intentional about recording our rights. This is important for kids too, but absolutely for us as adults. So this is just a place to do that. So on days where I feel like I'm not doing anything right, I failed as a mother, I've lost my patience, I've lost my temper, I can take a deep breath, I can take a moment, I can go read in my Feel Better binder that no, not every day is like this. I'm not always like this. There are things I've done well too. I'll read a couple of these to you. Palliative care doctor at Mary Bridge Hospital, after meeting Mark in person, said, "I want to shake your hand, because the boy I read about in the medical records is not the same boy I met today. And that's because of you." And I get goosebumps just remembering and thinking about that. That happened years ago. Mark was about 7. And at the time, I was feeling like an utter failure. Mark's pediatrician had given up on us. He literally had thrown the file folder, Mark's chart, in the air and said, "I can't help you anymore." That was because the doctor felt that I was the one with the problem. He saw nothing physically or mentally wrong with Mark. And it took 5 years, I believe, for me to be vindicated. Whole exome sequencing revealed the GRIN2B neurodevelopmental disorder, and the suspected urea cycle disorder, and the metabolic disorder. So in other words, I had gone to doctor after doctor after doctor, and nobody was helping me. They said he was perfectly healthy. As a former educator and now stay-at-home mom to both a typically developing child, we have a biological son who's a year older than Mark, and Mark, I knew something was wrong, but no one would listen to me. And so I was doing the very, very best I could. I was employing my experience and my degree and my training in early childhood education and elementary education to try and parent this child, even though I had no idea what was wrong. And I felt I didn't feel that way. I was completely unsupported until I finally met this doctor at Mary Bridge, and he was incredibly supportive. And him saying that to me in that moment really encouraged me more than he will ever know. Another one, Natasha Lay, 4th grade girl, passed up for gifted program each year. I nominated her for testing, and she missed by only 1 point. But having a teacher see her potential changed her forever. Shared via her mother 9 years later, she joined the military, married, and is now a mother of a little boy. And I remember this day. I ran into her mom at Target. She's like, "Oh, are you Mrs. Medisky?" I was like, "Oh, where's my mother-in-law?" I hadn't been in the classroom for years because I was at home raising my children. But she remembered me and she recognized me and she shared that, how just that one instance, that one thing I did. She didn't even make it into the gifted program, but just knowing that a teacher saw potential in her, saw how smart and bright and gifted she really was, changed her forever. And so I encourage everybody to be intentional about writing down and keeping a record of your rights. It's not about being prideful. It's about being intentional about seeing both sides. So that's the record of rights. Next, and I'll explain what this little thing is in a moment. Wonderful words from others. Use this page to keep a record of the kind words you hear from others. Read them when you need encouragement or a push to keep going. How many of us repeat all the negative things we hear each day, the world throws enough crap at us. We really need to be intentional about remembering the wonderful words we do hear from others, the encouraging words. Write them down, put them somewhere where you can read through them and encourage yourself on those days and times when you just really need it. I'll never forget one day. I've always worked from home. We needed my income. I needed to figure out a way to take my degree in education and make money from home. Well, I actually ended up using my degree before I went to school to be a teacher. I was a graphic designer, so I ended up doing web work and layout for publications. But I worked from home, which meant I was the one who ran the kids to school and all that good stuff, which was great. I loved it, but I was busy. And one day I came home to this sitting on my desk, and it says, "Mama, if you are reading this, I am thinking of you. Love, Nate." This was put on my desk September 2013. Nate was 8 years old and in the third grade. And this made my day. And I thought, oh my goodness, I need to save this forever. So I actually laminated it and just punched it. Sometimes I put it in my planner. Most of the time it just lives here in my Feel Better binder. But I also have another son, Mark, who I talked about a little bit briefly. He came home one day from school with his homework. I did my homework. I filled blank's bucket by. Now, Mark wrote this also in the third grade. Mark was 8 years old. You can see the difference there developmentally. And Mark at the time told me he filled my bucket by telling me he loved me. And that's what the heart in the smiley face was. And I think he was trying to write Mark here. And it doesn't matter what he wrote. He told me what it meant, and the intent behind it was what had value. And so gosh, if you were a mama or a dad, I encourage you to do something like this. You can't keep everything, right? But there are certain things that you will want to save forever. And I'm so glad I kept that. Oh, let me share this too, actually. Wonderful words from others. Somebody left I'm new here on YouTube. I'm trying to start this channel, getting it up and running, and trying to post some videos with some continuity and consistency. And somebody, Laura Jones 1218, posted the most wonderful comment and just encouraged me so much. You wrote, "You are such a lovely woman. I really enjoyed how authentic and charismatic you seem to be naturally. Thanks so much for doing this." And Laura Jones, if you're out there and you're listening, you have no idea how much that meant to me. It made it into my Feel Better binder. Thank you so much. So I encourage you to do this as well. It is incredibly, it's just a gift you give yourself, and it just keeps going. And something else I use these pages for is a great place to put greeting cards that you've received from people. You don't have to keep the whole card. Just cut out what they wrote, or thank you cards. Every year on Thanksgiving, after we eat, I give everybody at the table a little card where I explain to them why I'm specifically grateful for them. And November 16th, Thanksgiving 2016, Nate was 16. He turned around and gave me back the card I gave him. And I can read the back of the card and see what I wrote to him, but this is what he wrote to me. He ran to his room and wrote this. "Dear Mom, I want to thank you for bringing me into this family. I want to believe I got my kindness and empathy from you. You are the best mom in the world, and that's no exaggeration. Thank you for getting me into TAF. It's the best school for me. Love you, Nate, XOXO." Oh my gosh, I could cry just reading that. TAF was a STEM-based school. When we moved, we moved into a school district where they had a separate school that was just specifically it was STEM driven. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And that was very much Nate. Nate is now a chemistry major at the University of Washington. So clearly STEM was where his heart was and his passion. So I worked really hard to get him into that school. It only took 20 kids per year. And so I started that process a year and a half before. And this year he was just so especially grateful. That was the year he got in. So that will forever mean so much to me. So the next section is respite rescues. Find and create ways to help yourself. Write down ways to relax, refresh, and recover. Now, I got a lot on my plate. I've already shared that. But likely, I don't care where you are or what you do, you likely have a lot on your plate too. And let's face it, we can't always count on others to help us. I know in my particular situation, not even my in-laws would watch Mark. They were too overwhelmed with his special needs and didn't feel that they could take that on. So it's been 15 years of 24/7 care for him. And the only break I get is when he's at school. But even then, I'm often filling out paperwork, dealing with social workers, making doctor's appointments, making therapy appointments, yada, yada, yada. So I needed to develop a way to help myself. I needed to create ways to have self-created safety nets. And you know what? Word to the wise, the very best time to create those ideas and write them down is when you are at full capacity, when you have the creativity, when you are not at wit's end and desperate for a breather or a break. So this is just a printable or a place where you can write down things that you can do and look forward to help yourself. Some of mine are long, hot, no work shower, no shampooing, no shaving. I'm just standing in the hot water and enjoying it. Going to bed early. Buy a new upbeat MP3 to listen to. I love music. Music and color just really make me happy. And I take advantage of those no rush bonuses from Amazon. And so I accumulate quite a bit of just money for digital downloads so I can get an MP3 for free when I need it. Throw something in the crock pot or pull out a easy freezer meal so that in the evening, if you're having a really busy, crazy day, you can make your evening much easier. So this is just a quick and easy way to build and create and take advantage of self-created safety nets to give you the respite rescue that you need when you need it. Next, facts and feelings. One of the best things we can do is learn how to separate our feelings from the facts. This essential skill takes intention and practice. Think about something you're currently facing. Use the space below to record both sides of the situation, then make decisions accordingly. Feelings are absolutely valid, but they aren't always real. They aren't always dependable. Our feelings can often lie to us. They blow things out of proportion. They pick things apart. Facts, on the other hand, are stone cold. We can depend on them. But our feelings do matter. So this is just a printable or a way, and if you're doing this on a notebook paper, I would just literally fold it in half, label feelings and facts, and then do that on the paper itself. But this is just a place to record everything, every facet of a situation, how you're feeling about it, what are the facts, what's really going on. It's a way to get your thought process out of your brain and onto paper so that you can actually physically see it. Because sometimes, maybe you don't have the opportunity to talk to somebody else, but there is a different process, a different thinking we go through when it's on paper. We can think much more critically by seeing it in black and white than just dealing with the fuzzy, nebulous thoughts inside our own head. So that's one way you can really help yourself. Next, mining for meaning. The ability to find something positive or constructive in the midst of hardship helps transform our experience from one of only frustration to one of frustration and value. It doesn't necessarily make the challenge easier, but it does make it much more worth it. Use this page to vent about your challenge and to identify or construct personal meaning from it. You know what? There isn't always going to be a silver lining. There isn't always going to be something positive in a situation. At least maybe we can't find it. But we can always mine for it. We can work for it. And that helps with grit and it helps with resiliency. It helps us bounce back and it will help us feel better in the midst of struggling and hardship. For example, there have been times where I have cried because I have not had pain relief or, oh boy. Okay, well, let's get in the weeds a little bit here. I have been on Enbrel, I have been on Humira, and I have been on Kineret. And unfortunately, all of those biologics cause lesions to form on my brainstem. Sadly, those were the only medications that brought me relief. Thankfully, now I'm on a new medication, Otezla. I have been on it for like 8 years now, and it's been great. No side effects for me. However, I went through a lot of struggle during those times where I would try a medication, I'd have to go in for repeat MRIs, and lo and behold, only be told to, oh yeah, these are working for you, but they're ruining your brain. And I'd have to stop, and then I'd have to struggle with horrible, horrible pain, and slowly lose my ability to walk, yada, yada, yada. It sucked. It sucked. It was hard. It was difficult. In those moments, I had to think, okay, I got to figure out a way to buoy myself out of this situation. I have to find a way to make myself feel better physically, even if just for a few minutes. And through those trying times, I was able to devise and figure out different things that worked and different things that didn't. So what was the meaning? Because suffering sucks. What was the meaning behind it? How can I make it a good thing? I'm not looking for the silver lining. I'm creating it. I'm writing it myself. And for me personally, it was helping other people. And over the years, I've been able to help a lot of people who later got their own diagnosis or were struggling with different things, but at the root of it, the challenge was still the same. And so I was able to pass on some of the things that I've learned. Right now, I'm struggling because Mark's condition is degenerative. We either continue to feed him an albeit restricted diet, but it is cumulative. He will lose IQ. He will lose intelligence. He will not gain it back. It is not reversible. Either we starve him and he dies, but his IQ stays stable, or we feed him an albeit restricted diet, but he slowly continues to go downhill. That sucks. And the only meaning that I can create out of that is hoping that I can help other people. I can give Mark the best possible life, but I can also hopefully help other parents of children with special needs who may also be struggling, whether it be themselves, they're struggling with lack of capacity, they're just exhausted, they're at wit's end, or they might need help navigating the educational system. There could be anything. But I am on an ongoing search for creating meaning out of parenting Mark. And absolutely, it's been an experience. I won't say it's all been positive, because it hasn't all been positive for him. But we can certainly make positive things come from our suffering. So that's what this is a place for. And I like to have a little diamond there because, a diamond, when you dig it out of the earth, is not pretty. It is just carbon that has been compressed and compressed and compressed by tremendous pressure under the earth. And then it's dug up out of the dirt, washed, and then it's cut. It's cut up and it's polished and it's worked on. And it's beautiful because of the different facets, how it reflects the light. And you know what? We can take our challenges and our hardships and we can work those too. And we can create beautiful facets where we reflect positive things out back into the world. But that takes work. And so we can do that when we work to write our own positive meaning from it. The next section is a worry worksheet. Worry is a waste of energy, but concern can be constructive. Use this worksheet to work through worry and transform it into concern, enabling you to focus on facts and problem solve. Now, this is one of my favorites, and I actually came up with this. I have actually an acronym for this. I have another printable called POP, and it stands for Purge, Organize, Process. And that's essentially what you're doing here. First, you're going to purge. You're going to write the worry out. Doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be complete sentences. You're just brain dumping the worry. What's been bouncing around in, between those two ears of yours, get it on the paper so you can actually deal with it instead of letting it continue to bounce, bounce, bounce. Next, you're going to organize it. You're going to take your worry and you're going to break it into two portions. What's out of your control and what's in your control. Because what's out of your control, you're going to stop. It's wasted energy. Don't waste your energy. Redirect to what you can affect. In other words, if you can't do a darn thing about it, stop right there. You're done. Done. Out of your hands, no control, you're done. Stop worrying about it. Instead, focus all your energy in what's in your control. What can you do about it? What changes can you make? What choices can you do? What can you say no to? How can you affect the situation? This is where all your power is. This is where all your wasted energy and time and effort is. So stop. And then down here, what can you do? How can you help? So once you isolate and identify what's in your control, then you're going to look at, okay, what do I do? What's my actionable steps? If it's in my control, what can I do about it? And that is how you take your worry and turn it into concern. Concern isn't negative. It has negative connotations. It doesn't sound great. If you're concerned about something, that implies things are not right as rain. But concern can help you think through the facts, think through your choices, think through your next steps. Worry is nothing more than just energy that just keeps going and is wasted. Worry will drain you. Concern will give you direction. The next page is dream to direction. Dreams are great, but they will get you nowhere without work. Break a dream into small, actionable steps to make it work for you. Then make a plan on how to move forward toward making the dream reality. It's great to dream. If we don't have dreams, if we don't have hope, it's hard to keep going. It's hard to put one foot after the other. The problem is, if you just dream, if you just wishing will get you nowhere. My dad used to say, this is crude, I apologize, wish in one hand, crap in the other, see which one fills up first. He's not wrong. But I get frustrated, I would much rather put in the work and see a goal come to fruition, come to reality, than to just sit and dream and dream and dream and dream. I ain't got no pixie dust, and I'm guessing you don't either. So, but you can have this printable, and this will help you. So first, like the worry worksheet, get your dream down on paper. It doesn't matter what it is, but I would suggest one dream per page or one per printable. So write it out. For me, it is start an active YouTube channel. So that would be my dream, and that's what I'm currently working on. Next, you're going to break it down. Well, what do I need to attain that dream? I need equipment. So I need a camera, I need a microphone, I need ideas. What are my videos going to be about? I need a strategy. I need to figure out times that I'm actually going to sit and record and edit. Editing. I need editing software. How am I going to gain the skills to edit the videos myself? Because I sure as heck can't afford somebody. In other words, you take your dream and you break it down into all the different things you need, all the different steps. And next, take action. So this is what you need, and these are next steps. What can you do? So if my first break it down bullet point here was I need equipment. Well, it would be test the equipment I have. Test the existing webcam and mic on my computer. Will they work? Will they suffice? The other one is find ideas. What am I going to do videos about? My next step, my actionable step might be grab a notebook and just brainstorm ideas. You get the idea here. The point of this is taking an idea. I'm going to go back to teaching. As a teacher, we use what's called a scope and a sequence. A scope is the collection of everything, starting from point A to where we want to get point B, the end of the school year. Sequence is all the individual little steps we take, the order we're going to get to that, the order we're going to take that journey on in order to get to point B. I also like to think of it as looking telescope, but working microscope. So you have the big end goal, you have your dream. But in order to get that dream, in order to get there, you need to work microscope. You need to look at little things. How do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So you just start. And oftentimes, the burden or the barrier of getting started is we don't know what to do. We don't know where to start. We're overwhelmed. So this worksheet will take you through that process, helping you to validate the dream, get it down on paper, break it down into smaller, tinier steps, and then helping you take action, helping you help yourself take action. Last but not least, we have the archive of achievements. It's far too easy to dwell on how much farther we still have to go and how much more we have to do than it is to appreciate just how far we've come and what we've accomplished. Use this page to record and remind yourself of all the positive progress you've made and all the goals you've already reached. Way to go, you. I've shared a little bit. I work from home, literally inside a closet. I am in my closet right now. Shameless plug. I did another video on how I converted my walk-in closet into my own little office area. But the point is, working for yourself, I don't get pay increases. I don't get reviews. I don't get anything to really measure my success by. And I don't know about you, But it is important when you're working towards a new goal or a new dream, it's important to reflect on, hey, I am capable. I have completed things in the past, I've accomplished goals, and I can do it again. And so this is a place for you to archive those achievements. This, again, is not about being prideful. Like I said at the beginning of this binder, this is not about boasting. This is about keeping a record of fact and helping yourself be intentional about looking at the positive, not toxic positivity, but really being factual, looking at the situation, being intentional to see both sides of the coin, your failures and your wins. And so the Archive of Achievements page is a place to do that. I have not written anything on this page yet. Ultimately, I would love to earn one of those plaques from YouTube, one of those little silver play buttons. I doubt that'll ever happen, but my goal right now is to get to 50 videos, and I would love to get to 100 subscribers. And when I do, you better believe I'm going to be writing it down in this in my Feel Better binder on this page. So that is my Feel Better binder, and I have to say it has not only been life-changing, it has been me-changing. It has made me a happier person because I'm not always focusing on the negative. I'm not always focusing on the work. I'm pausing to focus and think about the wins. I am reflecting on the wonderful words from other people who encourage me. I am validating my own feelings while also taking time, effort, and intentionality to look at the facts too, and letting those guide my decisions every single day. This is nothing more than just a little binder, but this is the epitome of self-help. And for just a few bucks, or if you have an old binder laying around the house and some notebook paper, you can make your own. Again, if you like any of these printables, you can buy them individually, you can buy the whole set. I'll leave a promo code down below for you to use on my Etsy shop. So take what you will, leave the rest. I hope some of this works for you, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you again so much for watching. Take a moment for subscribing if you can, and leave a comment. I would love the encouragement. It certainly helps me out. Again, see you next time.